we are the
Hello.
twins.
My name is Daniela.
And I'm Catherine. Welcome to our show.
Our show is all about spiritual miracles
Or a near-death experience you ever had.
and we welcome a very special guest today, and we hope you enjoy this very special episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Daniela and Catherine. Well, I am Phil Kahn. I live in upstate New York, and for many, many years, I was single and alone. And I was getting into my late 50s, and I kind of gave up on ever finding love or ever being in a long-term relationship. It had been about 20 years since I had met somebody. And it was near the tail end of the COVID pandemic, where we were all feeling very isolated and very alone. So that exacerbated my situation. And as I said, I never thought I'd meet somebody, but I happened to join an online community called Clubhouse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's kind of like a Zoom call like we're having right now, but audio only, an audio-based social media app. And I went into a virtual room where a young lady named Maiken was providing oracle card readings for folks. And I went in the room, and everybody's got like a little profile icon that has their picture and a little profile beneath it where you can read their biography. And I immediately thought, ooh, she's really cute. Ooh, let me read her biography. And I read it, and she just seemed so nice. And she was giving, as I said, oracle card readings to anybody in the virtual room that wanted it. And listening to her give readings to other folks, she was just so kind and so sweet. And you could tell she was very tuned in, very insightful, very spiritual, which is, ties in nicely with this particular interview. I have to say it was very fair to say that I was smitten very quickly. Although after giving me a wonderful, wonderful reading, I found out she kind of had an on-again, off-again boyfriend. But it turned out that that was okay because I quickly had to move into the friend zone. But taking, the fact that she wasn't single and available took out of the equation my ability to chase her or court her. We just became friends. We became pals. There was no hidden agenda. And I think that helped our friendship grow organically and naturally, and nothing was forced. And oh my goodness, we hit it off so well and became very, very good friends. She picked some very profound and powerful cards. When she picked her first card for me, she said, "Oh my goodness, Phil, I don't typically pick this card for very many people. It's very, very powerful." And what she said to me is, "Phil, you don't realize how powerful a person you are. The sky is the limit for you, but there's one thing holding you back, and that's yourself." She said, "You need to learn how to get out of your own way." And believe me, that isn't the first time I heard somebody tell me that. I know the world is my oyster, but I tend to do a lot of self-sabotage. I'm sure you're familiar with that. If I could just get out of my own way, wonderful things were happening. Boy, was she right. She was so right. As I said, I lived in upstate New York. Maiken was from Arizona. She lived about 3,000 miles away from me. We actually, and it's a very long story, we actually never met in person. We met on Clubhouse and then took our relationship. We spoke on the phone. We had Zoom calls like this. We became very friendly where we had daily phone calls, daily, really long, involved chats. Many of the chats, unfortunately, involved this on-again, off-again boyfriend who was just not treating her well. But because she was very spiritual, she was convinced that the troubles she had with him was the universe sending her lessons to learn. And of course, I'm thinking, nah, he's just kind of a jerk. You should dump him and come in my direction, is what I was thinking. Of course, I couldn't say that. And because she was so spiritual, I went along and I said, well, gee, I'm really sorry that he's putting you in this situation. But yes, if you believe these are lessons the universe is sending you to learn, then I hope you learn and get out of this situation what you need to get out of it. And that's how the relationship progressed for several months. We became very friendly, very intimate, sharing our deepest, darkest secrets with each other, being a soft shoulder to cry on for each other. And it just became a beautiful, beautiful friendship. But fast forward ahead, I met her in April of 2022. In August of 2022, she went on a vacation to the Dominican Republic. And she went by herself, and she confided in me. She said, Phil, when I told Robert, that's the on-again, off-again boyfriend, when I told Robert I was going to the Dominican Republic, he said, well, have fun. And she said, I was really disappointed because I was hoping he'd actually say, gee, I would love to go along with you. Or, you know what, I'm going to miss you terribly. I want to please make sure you contact me every day while you're away, et cetera, et cetera. He did none of that. And she was so sad that he just seemed very disinterested. And I said, well, I'm very interested. I said, I would have loved to have gone along with you. I said, maybe I could be a stowaway and sneak in on your airplane, sneak in on the flight and maybe they won't discover me. And I said, but if I can't go, please send me updates every day, send me photos. And that's what she did. She sent me lovely pictures all week long. She was there, I think it was 8 days. And we stayed in constant contact, and you could tell she was having a wonderful, wonderful time. When she got back, though, and she's sharing stories with me, she said, you know what? My stomach was hurting a little bit throughout the trip. It wasn't horrible, but it was kind of bothering me. But she said, you know what? I didn't let that ruin my vacation. I wanted to have fun. I just ignored it to the best of my ability, and I had a fantastic time. But she said, but since being back in the States, the stomach just isn't getting any better. Something is wrong. I haven't been able to keep food down. She said, I'm going to go to the doctor and see what this might be. Well, anyway, fast forward ahead. There was a procedure done to examine what the problem may be. In August, she was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer, which blew our minds. I mean, she was 48 years old at the time, very healthy, very spiritual, was a vegan, ate well. And so when she told me this, I was, obviously taken aback, but I figured, oh, she's got this beat. It's going to be no problem at all, and I'll be there to support her as best I can. Well, she went to Robert and told Robert that she had this diagnosis of cancer. And what was his response? Well, good luck with that. See you later. He was basically like, I'd like to be there for you, but I just don't feel like I'm he was basically saying, I'm not really your boyfriend. I don't really consider you on that level. So good luck to you. And she was devastated. Here, they've been on again, off again for a couple of years. She had been in love with him. He obviously was not in love with her if he was bailing on her at this crucial juncture. She quickly bounced back and said, you know what? I deserve better than that. Obviously, he wasn't the one for me. She said, after 2 years of back and forth and letting him know I have a cancer diagnosis and having him just say, good luck with that, she said, you know what? I don't need that. I deserve better. And good for her. It was at that moment she confided in me. She said, you know what? I'm going to move on from Robert, but Phil, I've got to confide in you that I'm going to face this cancer diagnosis bravely, and whatever happens, I'm going to face it with love rather than fear. But between you and me, with Robert now not here anymore, it's going to be tough facing this alone. She said, right now, for example, my back is hurting. If Robert were here, I'd ask him for a back rub to reassure me everything's going to be okay. She says, and now I don't have that, and I'm not going to have that, and I'm basically going to face this alone. And it was at that very moment I decided, you know what? She's not going to face this alone. I don't know what our relationship is, but I'm going to jump in with both feet, fully and unconditionally, and be like her de facto boyfriend. I did not want her to do this alone. I wanted to be with her. So every day we'd talk for hours and hours on Zoom, on the phone. I would send her funny memes through the mail, little pick-me-up items. I bought her gifts. I did an inspirational video for her, just everything to try to lift her spirits so she wouldn't be alone. And it was just a beautiful time for us. All I knew at that moment is that she needed love and she needed support and she needed somebody to pour into her unconditionally, fully, 100% without needing to define, hey, what's going on here? Are we an item now? None of that mattered. And so what we had was pure. It was love. It was unadulterated. It was beautiful. But she wasn't getting any better. And not to keep you in suspense, but only 4 months after her diagnosis, it was in August she was diagnosed, December 13th, 2022, she passed away. It was devastating. From a selfish standpoint, I had told you at the beginning of this interview, I had waited years and years and years being alone, waiting for my soulmate to come. And I considered her in that 4 months after Robert left the picture and after I jumped in to help her during her time of need. I fell in love. I think she fell in love with me. Even if we didn't fall in love like a couple, the love we shared back and forth, I would tell her every day how much she meant to me and how much I loved her and how much healing energy I was sending to her. And she gladly accepted it and gave it right back. And as I said, we thought she was going to beat it. I have so many friends that have been diagnosed with cancer, and typically the way how it goes is they battle it for several months, they overcome it, they're fine, and maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years later, maybe it creeps up again. But we figured this might be a long haul, but she was going to be fine. It wasn't fine. She ended up passing away. And I was so mad at the universe. It's like I'd been waiting all this time. I finally, I was 58 years old. I'd waited 58 years for her. And 8 months after meeting her and only 4 months after Robert left the picture, the universe takes her away from me. I was so angry. But take me out of the equation. Take my anger out of it and my peace. Taking her out of this world, she had so much she wanted to do and accomplish. I told her she was an oracle card reader. She was a medium, very spiritual. She wanted to host spiritual retreats at her home, which she lovingly called the sanctuary. She wanted to write books. She wanted to travel the globe, uplifting the world, contributing to society. And I'm thinking, how dare the universe take her away from being able to do all that? She never got a chance to live her dream that way. So it was just devastating all the way around. A couple of months before she passed, she created a thread on I can't remember the name of the app. Hold on, I'm going to look it up really quickly. Telegram is the name of the app. It's like a messenger type of service where you can type back and forth with a list of people. She was updating folks every day. She would say, oh, I had a doctor's appointment. There were about 20 or 30 people on the thread that she kept up to date on her progress. When she started getting weaker and weaker, and it was too much of her to keep communicating with folks, her children, she had 4 adult children, took over those duties and would update people. And about a week before she passed, her daughter sent a message to all of us saying that she had had exploratory surgery. They had opened her up. She hadn't been able to eat. Her intestines were all messed up. They basically said The doctors went in, realized there was nothing they could do, sewed her back up, and that's probably going to be it. And that she had an appointment with hospice the next day. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, hospice. That means you're not going to make it after all. Where your mindset the whole time is, how can I encourage her? How can I get behind her? How can I send her positive energy and positive vibes and pray for her and all of that? Because she is going to make it, to having to shift gears like, okay, if she's going to pass, now what do I do? I came to a crossroads where I wanted to say my goodbyes to her, but I was thinking, well, that's selfish. If I say goodbye, isn't that basically saying, okay, I don't think you're going to make it, Mike, and I need to say goodbye. But I didn't want to keep pretending that everything was going to be fine and not say my goodbyes. So we had a chance, and I basically said to her that it was such a blessing to meet her in this lifetime. Although it was a short amount of time, it was better than no time at all. Even though we didn't get a chance to consummate our relationship, I said, I know we're going to meet on the other side, and we're going to be able to spend many lifetimes together. Perhaps we've had other lifetimes before this. And the answer is yes. Afterwards, I had found out through many spiritual friends that we have shared many lifetimes together. We'll continue to share lifetimes together. But for this particular incarnation, the story had ended. But it didn't end. On her passing, you'd think, okay, that's the end of the story. We never had a chance to meet in person. We never had a chance to become an item. We never had a chance to explore our love relationship. So you'd think, okay, the story ends there. But in actuality, that's where our story began. She became my guardian angel since her passing, and so many amazing, wonderful, synchronistic things have happened in my life that I know that Maiken is divinely orchestrating for me, and I know you two can appreciate this based on, your spiritual take on things. Oh my God, I could give you 100 examples of amazing things that happened after her passing that just shows that she is with me. And our love has grown since her passing. I love her more today, and our love is stronger today than it ever was while she was alive. And you could say, well, that's an odd thing to say. Now, you'd think I'd be all down and depressed. And believe me, I have my human moments when I get very sad and very lonely, and I get very angry at the universe for taking her away. But I'm so blessed, and so many wonderful things, and I feel her all the time. I know she's with me. She, after her passing, I said I was very down, filled with grief, filled with doubt, filled with what ifs, worried that all I'd have would be memories and ponderings of what could have been, and that was that. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, a couple of days after she passed, I got a message from a friend of hers named Alia, who lived in Saudi Arabia. Now, I had heard Alia's name, but I had never met Alia. Alia sent me an email saying, Phil, I need to talk to you. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know who this woman is or what she wants, but I guess we hopped on a Zoom call. Alia had been very good friends with Mike, and the two of them had taken many courses together to learn spiritual techniques. They had taken a channeling course together where they both learned how to channel. And the reason why Alia was contacting me was because she had a channeled message from Maiken for me. And the message was, Phil, I'm so grateful that you were with me at the end of my life, and you poured yourself into me so fully and completely and helped me so I wouldn't have to face death alone. I want to pay it forward to you. I want to be your guardian angel from the other side and help you with whatever you're facing. If you are interested in this, please light a white candle 5 nights in a row if you're open to me being your guardian angel. And of course, I jumped at that. I'm thinking, yes, I lit a white candle 5 nights in a row. And sure enough, she has become my angel. And one of the connections we have is after she passed, I said, Maiken, I want you to give me a sign that you successfully made it to the other side and you actually are there and you are actually ready to be my guardian angel. And by the way, you have no idea what you signed up for. I can be a real handful. But anyway, I said, but don't make it something vague where I look at it going, gee, I wonder if that's a sign from you. I don't want it to be like, well, so I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I came across a meme that had an uplifting message that sounded like something Mikan might say to me. And it had a picture of a cardinal on the meme. And I said, okay, that's it, Mikan. I want a cardinal to be the message from you. I want a cardinal to appear to confirm that you made it to the other side. Now, I had told you I live in upstate New York. I told you she had passed in December. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to New York in December, but it's snowy, it's cold. Right now, it's December in New York. It's snowy, it's cold, it's freezing. I have not seen a bird anywhere near my apartment in a couple of months. They've all flown south to where you are in Florida, believe me. They're not here anymore. Plus, I hadn't seen probably in the 20 years I had lived in my apartment complex, maybe I had seen a cardinal once. So I wasn't expecting like an actual cardinal to show up. I was thinking that maybe I'd be thumbing through a magazine one day and I'd come across a picture of a cardinal to say, aha, there she is. Or somebody would mention to me that they had seen a cardinal, something like that. Well, guess what? The next day, I woke up and my cat Chloe is looking. I live on a second floor and she's looking out on my second floor deck. You could see she's like stalking something. She's looking at something. And there's a bush outside my second floor apartment. And you can tell she's looking at something. Now, you probably know where I'm going with it. I look out on the deck and what is sitting in this bush? A cardinal. Now you're thinking, well, that's just coincidence. I'm telling you, I hadn't seen a bird in several months. It was 20 degrees. As I said, I hadn't seen a cardinal in forever. I knew that was her. As I said, I have 100 other examples of coincidences and synchronicities that have happened that confirm that she is with me. You know what? They say that before going to sleep, every night before I go to sleep, I ask her for a kiss, and inevitably, like, my cheek or my chin will start tingling. So I know she's kissing me goodnight. I have asked her to show up in my dreams. I've been disappointed in that she's only shown up twice. But the first time she showed up, the message to me was, Phil, you're going to be all right. I'm okay over here. I'm watching over you. As long as you're still open to me guiding you, I'll be here. In other words, you're not alone. And I've never felt alone. Actually, the upshot of this is I found our love story to be so unique that I actually wrote and published a book about our story. It's called Heartstrings into Infinity. And that comes from a quote that says, those we love and lose are always connected by heartstrings into infinity. And I thought that was lovely. The reason why I decided to write the book was, we've all heard or seen like a movie or read a book, and the typical love story is somebody meets somebody else, they're immediately taken in by them, they kind of have a little crush on them, but that person is interested in someone else, but then eventually that relationship doesn't work out and that person ends up coming back around and they connect and they live happily ever after. Well, our story, Mikan and mine, has the same kind of trajectory, except for the two of us didn't live happily ever after. She passed away. And you think, well, that's a sad ending. But no, as I've said, she's still with me. I see you both nodding, so you know that she's still with me. And I'm thinking, well, how many love stories do you know where like two people fall in love, but one of them dies? So I decided I want to write a book that I don't think there's any such love story like that. Plus, I wanted to keep her memory alive. I told you that there's so many things she wanted to do and accomplish that she didn't have a chance to. By writing this book, I could introduce a whole bunch of people to her that wouldn't have known her otherwise. Look at you two. You two would have never known her or met her. If she had been alive, maybe you would have connected with her and gone to one of her spiritual retreats, or maybe she would have happened to stumble across your podcast and the two of you connected. But if she's dead, then you're never going to meet her. But now her story lives, she lives on through the book and through me. Now, it's interesting that this isn't answering your question. Your initial question was, have I dated anybody since? Well, the 13th of this month will be 2 years since her passing. And only now am I starting to think that maybe I would consider dating somebody. Although I worry about one thing. I worry that somebody is going to read my book and say, well, I'm not going to date Phil. He's still in love with this woman who passed away. How can I compete with the memory of a woman he considers the love of his life and his guardian angel? So I'm thinking, who would want to date me even at this point? But I've had friends say, no, Phil. Women are going to read the book and they're going to see, oh my God, you have such a big heart. The way you poured yourself into Maiken at the end of her life. They're going to see you have so much love to give. They're going to be really attracted by that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess I'm open. Now, I have many friends, as I said, that are very spiritually connected. Some of them are mediums. They've given me messages from Maiken saying that Maiken does want you to meet somebody. She doesn't want you to be alone and lonely and sad. She wants you to find love. She wants you to be happy. She's going to find somebody for you. So just be open to that. So I'm trying to remain open to that. Manifestation is decide what you want, what aligns with you, and then pretend as if it's actually already happened and be open to it. So when it does happen, it's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. So if and when I am ready to meet somebody, instead of saying, gee, universe, gee, Maiken, please send me somebody. No. What would it feel like if I am with somebody? Well, my heart would be bursting and I would be joyous and I would be giving love to somebody and accepting love fully and unconditionally. So I'm leading my life that way. I'm trying to be as kind as I can to people, as loving as I can. And I'm picturing myself already there. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did come along. But in the meantime, even taking that out of the equation, just the connections I've made with other people has been amazing. I'll give you, here's a nice example of a synchronicity that'll prove that once again that she is with me. Now, I've mentioned many times that her name is Maiken. That's an unusual name. It's spelled M-Y-K-E-N. I had never met anybody else named Maiken before. She had never met anyone else named Maiken. Well, about a month ago, somebody had seen a newspaper article about me and my book. My book had hit #1 on Amazon. And so that is Maiken pulling strings to have my book reach #1. So a local newspaper picked up the story on me reaching #1, and a woman who lives about 15 miles away from me read the article. She had just lost her father and was devastated, was so down and depressed, in a really, really rough spot. She read the little synopsis of my book and said, you know what, I'm going to buy this book and read it. There's something calling me to it where I think it could help. Well, she bought the book. She loved the book. It really resonated with her to the point where she started having faith that her father was still with her from the other side. The examples of Maiken being there for me, she's like, I'm sure my father's still with me. She was so touched, she actually took the time to send me a thank you card in the mail. Now, who sends thank you cards anymore? Even through the mail, I mean, maybe an email saying, hey, I liked your book, thank you. No, she wrote me this beautiful handwritten card out of the blue. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. I opened up the card. It said, Phil, you don't know me. I bought your book. I was so distraught after my father died, but after reading your beautiful story, first of all, I have to let you know, that it was just a beautiful, beautiful love story. But on top of that, all the sections of the book that talk about how she's still with you. You've renewed faith in me that he's still with me. Okay, so that's beautiful. Isn't that a lovely little story? But that's not the kicker. Here's the kicker to the story. The woman's name, Maiken. The woman that sent me the card. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what are the odds? So I actually ended up connecting with this Maiken, who lives near me, on Facebook. I found her. We hopped on a phone call. We met in person last week and had a lovely lunch. She's just so wonderful, but we've become fast friends. We've been helping each other. I've been kind of down and depressed lately, coming up on the 2-year anniversary of Maiken's passing. So this new Maiken has been helping me greatly. I've been helping her with her father's situation. So again, it's divinely inspired. That's it. Told this story about the new Maiken to many people. A lot of people are like, ooh, is this new Maiken single? And I said, no, she's married. So I want to take that out of the equation. We've hit it off tremendously and we've become fast friends. But so my Maiken will remain my one and only Maiken. I just want to give people hope that there are two things. I'm sure there are a lot of folks watching this interview that are very spiritual, and this will, I hopefully, affirm that love never dies. Love does continue, that we've had many lives before, we'll continue to have many lives. We just can't imagine the whole concept behind what's going on here. We're just human beings. We have no idea about the vastness of what's going on here. So I'm hoping that in some way my story inspires people. Thank you. And I always like to repeat the quote to tie things up. Again, this was the title of my book, and it really hit me that those we love and lose are always connected by heartstrings into infinity. Bye. We'll be in touch.
Hello! Thank you for watching. We thought it was a very interesting episode.
Yes.
And we hope to see you again.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Bye.